Hello, and welcome to the W.A.I.T channel. What Am I Thinking? A podcast where two sisters share uplifting conversations on fun and sometimes serious topics.
Join us each week by clicking the notification bell and subscribing to our channel. If you enjoy the show, use the share link. It's one of the best ways to expand the conversation.
Hello and welcome back to the W.A.I.T channel. What am I thinking? Today we're thinking about the January 6th Commission, and I think they've been in session or having sessions for about a month now, or a little over a month now. Yeah, you would think, honestly, is it that much information that has to be shared? So I'm just going to start off by talking about what we know so far. And to be honest with you, it's the whole affair is quite disgusting to me, and listening to it and still seeing people walking around with MAGA hats or refusing to even take in this information for what it is. Truth is truth, fact is fact. So it is what it is, and you can take the information, digest it however you want, but hopefully in the end, our judicial system will use this information, because nobody is above the law, and we all have to follow the rules. So far what we know, the Secret Service and text messages. So apparently they had planned to have these new phones and everything put into place, and they were going to swap out phones. And why you need to delete all your text messages just because you're giving your agents new phones, I don't know, and I'm not even quite sure what that has to do with your server. Sounds a bit fishy to me. But let's hope and pray that there's a second or third backup server that somebody does not know about, and that information still comes to light. But we do know that we need to be concerned about these men and women that are serving on the Secret Service.
Yeah, whenever I hear scrub, you scrub the phone, there's no reason to do that, especially when you're doing a upgrade to a new phone.
I mean, but more to the point, my husband worked for the military, and they had computers and things, and whenever they would get a new computer, they would do a mirror image of the old computer and put the data on the new computer. Never did he say anything that they deleted everything and then they put. No,
deletion is a bad word in the military, in
right.
Federal government, period, because you have to archive data. There is and even if it's not forever, it's for a certain period of time.
Right.
So the fact that the Secret Service is scrubbing things smells quite foul to me.
And more to the point, the same people that were upset over Hillary Clinton and her emails and lock her up, they're awful quiet on the fact that this agency literally cannot account for messages that were supposed to be archived. Right.
And trying to normalize it, this was always planned, and this was not something blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, the process that you use, the upgrade may have been planned, but the process that you use to get rid of that information, no, that is not.
Someone
that's
needs
not typical.
A demotion or need to be fired if that's the process.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And the thing that I like to reiterate when we have these conversations is that you and I don't check a political box. Mm-hmm. We really try to align ourselves with what makes sense. Mm-hmm. And it's sad to me that the 9/11 Commission was not politicized. Mm-hmm. Neither should the January 6th committee. We couldn't get the commission that they wanted. Some of them were agreeing to do it, and then it fell apart. And so they had to settle on the January 6th committee, but everyone in America should be appalled that this happened, and they should want to get to the bottom of it and hold people to account so that it never happens again.
Absolutely.
Look at history. Look at what's going on in Sri Lanka. Do we want our stuff to fall apart to the degree that the president is running away from the country because someone is saying you ran it into the ground and because they don't like that's not democracy. Democracy means we go to the polls and speak there. We may not like the outcome at the polls, but guess what? In 2 years, in 4 years, in 6 years, you get to have another say. That's the way it works. Unless there is true corruption in the process, which is what was going on January 6th.
Right.
That's what we don't want. That's the thing that we should be up in arms about.
Right.
Not that someone voted, someone got more votes, someone didn't let people start counting votes until after Election Day, and the count changed in a way that wasn't in your favor. That's still, it's like the party that's the most aggrieved, your laws is why this looks so fishy, because you wouldn't let them count those ballots early. So that's why when you went to bed, one person was ahead, and when you woke up, another person was. Guess what? It's called 1, 2, 3, 4. It's counting. So it just baffles me that you can be so dismissive of something that is so damaging to our nation. Democracies, as we see, are really fragile.
They really are.
And when you play around, that's why you have that judge that spoke, who was so well respected by the Republicans, telling them that we have clear and present danger. He's saying that because he values democracy. He knows the benefit of it. He knows what it took to put it in place, but he also knows how easily it can tumble. We don't want that, people. Pay attention. This is one human being.
So let's talk about that one human being.
Okay.
So the commission also informed us that President Trump knew, we now have actual evidence, that the crowd was armed, dangerous, and he welcomed it.
Yep.
So today on the news, they have been showing all the outtakes from him trying to record the two messages that one went out over social media and the other one went out as over the TV. And the multiple outtakes. It reminded me of a gag reel. If you haven't seen it,
I haven't.
You have got to find it somewhere.
Okay.
Words that he didn't want to say, like enemy or bad or we lost. No, we didn't lose. Not going to say that. It looked like a gag reel.
Wow.
And it's a good thing that they played it, because all the things that they wanted him to say and him saying it and then decide, no, he's not going to say that. You've got to see it.
Wow.
All right. So we know that we had a president that was fully aware of the people that were there, and he welcomed it. We know that the president on that day and the day after, he showed his temper and that he would do anything to hold on
to stay in power.
To power. And that we know this because of people that were around him. And one word that came from more than one person was unhinged. Okay? We know that President Trump pressured anyone and everyone to do his bidding, even though it was wrong, and he was repeatedly told it was wrong, even by his White House counsel. We know that the commission has given us enough evidence for potential criminal prosecutions, and every day that information is growing. And we know that the people that have come forward are all credible witnesses.
And people that were very loyal to him. Now, how about this? I've heard people talk about the dereliction of duty on his part. How about the dereliction of duty of his cabinet members not to go with the 25th Amendment? How about we call some of them in and ask them, what else did you need to happen for you? Because when the words unhinged are being thrown around, that's the definition of why that amendment is there.
That's you. And more to the point, there was that time period or that time span where people were like wanting somebody on that side of the aisle because on the other side they were ready.
Right. And it's one of those things that as a cabinet member, part of your responsibility is to keep this country in the safest hands. When you see he ain't doing it, that's a dereliction of duty on your part
really is.
To not have moved forward. It shouldn't have been because that's what they were threatening him with. And I think that's the thing that finally got him to put together the message. That was the least. When he didn't call for reinforcements for the National Guard.
He didn't call the National Guard.
Pence
the police,
did all that from the bunker.
Right.
Cabinet members.
Yeah.
They don't need to be able to just, I resigned for the few that did and the others. They need to be held accountable. Yes, they're not in those positions anymore, but you were in the positions long enough where you should be held accountable for your inaction.
I wonder in 10, 15, 20 years from now, when other people read the accounts of this, and
that's why I'm so glad the January 6th
Oh,
committee
absolutely, because
to document it and to find the real truth,
Right.
I love it when they do that minute by minute timeline, which I haven't fully seen it, but when I heard they were doing it that way, smart.
This party, what they fail to understand, and they're believing in some way that they'll be able to control this narrative. The way students learn history now is not just out of a textbook. They might even have to do research on it. There are multiple sources on it. They would have to scrub every search engine. I'm not going to say it's not possible.
Right.
But to hide the truth. And now we know there's a website. If you want to go get the transcript from each day, what they talked about, you can go to their website and you can rewatch all the hearing. You can download transcripts.
Okay.
Yes. So this...
I hope our brother doesn't know that. He's going to be asking.
But, my hope and I'm so happy that they went forward with this, because this is really... It's important to the cohesiveness of the country that we are trying to maintain moving forward.
I agree.
I still, and it doesn't even seem like it was just 2 years ago.
I know.
Sitting in the family room and looking up at the TV, and at some points I was standing in front of the TV looking in utter shock.
I know.
Not believing what I was seeing.
I know.
And then thinking, wait a minute. Are people even allowed to get that close to the Capitol building? Just trying to process what am I seeing?
I know.
It was beyond.
It's sad.
And hearing reporters and you see the split screen. Is the president going to call? Is somebody going to call the president? And then different commentators that were once held political office. We're trying to get in contact with this person and that person. Just wondering how far is this going to go?
Yeah.
I mean, and it lines up and it goes to the height emotionally of how I felt on 9/11 on that day. That same fear for my country.
It's like disbelief, and that's why it's so disheartening. And as a person who is a veteran, I'm appalled at the politicians that want to rewrite history. You don't get to do that. And it really is. It's very, very. It's a disrespect, and these are the ones that want to wave the patriotic flag. Where was your patriotism 24 hours, 48 hours later? Gone. That quickly.
That quickly.
Sad.
Bill Maher's term, the Republican Party, and I'm just going to name it, the party, is they're very tribal. For them, it's not about right or wrong. It's party first, party second, party forever.
Yeah.
So that tells me you're not looking at the entrance of the country. We're not divided. This is not a civil war, and I pray to God we never have a civil war, but we are the United States
supposed to be
of America.
Yeah.
It's about all 50 states, our provinces. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
And when you take that oath of office, you're either saying the words and you don't mean them, and if you are, I don't even know what to say about that.
I know. And I guess for me, that I think about individuals who I know I encounter on a regular and sweet, nice people who I know are in agreement with rewriting history and being dismissive of it. And I'm just like, it's just...
there's this guy on YouTube, and I meant to send you this link, and he talked about how he was that individual like you saw in the crowds on January 6th, very conservative, very Republican. He talked about the different channels and things that he would watch, and he felt that he was informed. And he didn't really go into a lot of depth about how he started watching some other news outlets, but he was challenged to do that. So he began doing that, and naturally, immediately, he was seeing these unbalanced stories. Why am I hearing the vast majority of particular topics on some outlets, and then I go to others and they either aren't talking about those things, or they'll talk about it for 60 seconds and then they're on to something else. And he said that person that you can't turn, the reason you can't turn them is because they believe you're getting inaccurate information and they're the ones getting the truth. Right.
Yeah.
So you will never be able to have this conversation to try and sway them because they think you're the one that don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so our next book is Try Changing the Channel. Wait for it. It will be available on Amazon as an audible book. Coming in the... Wait a minute. I'm going to see if you get this reference. Spring, summer, fall.
And honestly, sometimes I just feel like someone on Newsmax or Fox needs to just be 24/7 liberal commercials that just pepper them constantly with different...
Some tidbits of truth.
Honestly.
tidbits of truth.
Honestly.
That's the only way to try to get through. And I have to say that there's stuff that they're being exposed to that I'm oblivious to.
Absolutely.
But I have to say, I haven't done it in a while. But I used to flip over just so I could know what it is that I have to fight against. So I would listen to see, especially when it seemed to be a national story, that it's like, how can you tank this or change this or whatever? But lo and behold, they find a way.
They find a way.
They find a way. But I haven't done it in a while. But maybe as we work on this book, I will.
We will change the channel.
I will change the channel too. So, yeah. So, that's where we're thinking about January 6th, guys. It is, for me, quite disheartening, but very serious. And so if you have found yourself disconnected from it, don't be. You need to know what really happened on that day, who all the players were, and you should be pushing for them to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
Because we don't ever, just like we say no more 9/11, never again, the same should be said for January 6th. And don't allow anyone to misrepresent what that day was really about. And if someone doesn't know what the day was about, educate them.
Absolutely.
So thank you for watching. Please put comments, share, and make sure you tune in again.